This is World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber. World Awakenings is a podcast dedicated to opening your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how they play an all-important role in our daily life. So join Carl on this enlightening experience as he interviews metaphysical and spiritual experts to discuss, debate, and delve deeply into the hows and whys of this worldwide awakening.
Hey, welcome friends. I am so glad you could join us for yet another awesome episode of World Awakenings, a fast track to enlightenment. I'm your host, Carl Gruber. Now, this show has been on a beautiful heart and mind expanding journey as we explore all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening. So join me as we continue this exploration with yet another awesome teacher of light, love, and truth. And our guest here on episode number 188 is Lisa Natoli. She is well-known as a spiritual teacher who emphasizes healing, awakenings, and transformation. Now, her teachings are simple, down-to-earth, and practical, which uses body-mind approach to awakening and recognition of your true nature. Lisa is also a student and teacher of the Modern Spiritual Guide, A Course in Miracles, as I am, and she is also the author of a couple books, including Gorgeous for God, Awakening Through A Course in Miracles. So with that, Lisa, welcome to World Awakenings.
Thank you so much, Carl. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I love the fact that you told me before we came on here that this is your first interview of 2025, and it's been a while since you've done them, huh?
Well, yeah, I just really wasn't. I was in a quiet space. That's what I'll say for the last couple of years. And about 2 weeks ago, I really just was like, I would like to start being interviewed in 2025, and then I opened my email and there you were. And so this is my first interview of 2025, and I'm just thrilled to be here with you. And I love the topic, just of enlightenment. I think that's what people are interested in now.
So we're both in this realm of awakening and everything, but I've been doing my research on you, and I know you've been in this fold of A Course in Miracles and enlightenment for a very long time. I read that your own awakening to your true higher self, it was a slow unfolding journey. Can you give us an idea of this journey for a girl from Maine to where you're at now?
Yeah. I found A Course in Miracles in 1992. I was living in New York City. I was working in publishing, making money, had the good apartment, the relationship, all the things one is taught one should have to be happy. And I just felt like something's missing. This is like a house of cards that I could lose the job any day, the apartment any day, the relationship any day. And I was reading self-help books at the time, and we all have that first introduction that the world we think we see out there is coming from here. And I just was like, I know that's the truth. And so I found A Course in Miracles, committed myself to doing it. I don't have a religious background. So I had a tremendous amount of resistance to the Christian terminology, Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, Christ. But I had an open mind enough to say, I can get on board with it. I can get on board with it. I don't know what this is, but I know that this is it. And so fast forward 20 years, it was like 1992, ended up losing the job, losing the apartment, losing the relationship. And then I moved to Endeavor Academy in Wisconsin, which is no longer there, but that was a spiritual community for A Course in Miracles, and went back and forth the whole time I was there from New York to Wisconsin, still doing the Course in Miracles, having moments of peace and joy and happiness, but mostly in conflict. Mostly I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know why I am not having an awakening. And then I got sick in 2012, I think. I started getting physical symptoms, which I thought was the flu, and then was diagnosed as an incurable autoimmune disease with just crazy physical symptoms, pain, near blindness, couldn't talk, just great difficulty with talking. Um, so then I was on this path of trying to heal the mind, trying to heal the body. It's like this total dedication to get it, and I wasn't getting it. And after like $25,000 spent in trying every healing modality, every spiritual practice, every meditation, um, from like 2012 to 2018, I just was like, it's not working. And that to me, 2018 was a pivotal year for me because that's when I started being introduced to the Advaita Vedanta teachings and the language. And somehow I just needed to hear it in a different way that we are pure, infinite, eternal being. I don't know. I couldn't hear it with A Course in Miracles for some odd reason. And I stopped trying to heal. I stopped with all of it. I stopped with the diets. I stopped all of it. It wasn't like instant stop because I was crazy afraid of eating gluten and dairy. And I was like, it wasn't like this, you know, overnight thing. But I slowly was like, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life trying to heal this body. I want to be happy. I want to be happy. I want awakening. I want to live as the self. I don't know what that means, but I don't I don't want to struggle anymore. I don't want to fight myself anymore. I don't want to call myself names anymore, which is what I'd been doing all those years of sickness. How did I cause this? What am I doing wrong? Who have I not forgiven? All the things we do as spiritual students. And I was like, I don't want this to be my life. I want to be happy. And since then is where the gradual part came. The gradual part that you mentioned in the introduction was this, it was just this first moment of, oh, I get it. I am the self. Like I started to understand what I am oneself means. And then it was very gradual. Like, what is this body then? Like, okay, I'm having real glimpses of peace, joy, and happiness in my eternal nature. And so it's been slow. It's been slow over the last 6 years or whatever it's been. And the body healed itself. And I didn't do anything. I didn't, there was this like, I don't care if the body is sick for the rest of my life. That's the freedom, is where you stop trying to heal, you lose interest in the body. And so now I see it's all about awakening. Like that's why I love the title of your podcast so much, because it is about enlightenment. That's what healing is. It's knowing what we are, our eternal nature, and living as the self.
And I love that you're talking about all this stuff. And it is interesting just listening to what you're talking about here. It's almost when you were spending all the money on the meditations and the prescriptions and whatever it took to heal, when you let it all go, you stop trying so hard. And basically, what we know, when we try so hard, you actually create a wall of resistance, energetically, mentally, etc.
Yeah, that's it. Like I know now that sickness is misidentification as the body, and sickness is where we're fighting, we're struggling, we're efforting, we're analyzing, we're thinking, we're doing. That's what being the body means.
Mm.
Yeah. What we really are is effortless flow. What we really are doesn't have a body. What we really are is infinite, eternal, changeless being. And that's what Christ is. That's what God is, that we are God's intelligence. We are pure life and aliveness. And when we're being anything other than that, we're disconnected. Even though it's not possible ever to be disconnected from what we are, we think we're disconnected. And we identify with the body as me. I'm Lisa. I'm a girl. I'm this age. Here are my stories. And we live by the identification chronically. So I think it's interesting that we have this term in the world called chronic conditions and chronic diseases. That's an accurate term because we have chronically been attacking ourselves, chronically attacking others, chronically criticizing, chronically not loving our life in the body. So, in the most simple terms that I could probably express is love is the healer. Like when in 2018, I just saw how much I hated this body. I hated this condition. I hated the pain. I wanted it to change. And I saw that love is our true nature. So if I'm disliking or hating something, I'm not being what I am, which is love. So a really simple way for anybody who's sick right now or struggling with pain is to start welcoming everything that's arising in the experience. Begin to love the body that you have, not trying to change it and like, I'll love it later. No, love it right now. Love the health that you have. Like so many people just say, I'm sick. I don't have any health. I don't have any energy. Love the energy you have right now. Like if you can get out of bed, celebrate that. Like be like, oh, okay, wow. If you can't, some people can't get out of bed. Well, can you lift your leg off the bed? Like up, can you lift your hands like this? We take things for granted. So if we can start saying, oh, okay, yeah, I can move my head, I can talk, I can see, I can use the bathroom, I can eat, we take it all for granted. And we think I'm sick. We live by this belief system. I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. But if you start to shift that and say, hold on a sec, how can I love? Just really start living as love. And to me, that gets one close enough to their true nature that the memory of it returns. The memory of I am starts to be an awareness. And it's like, oh, I'm not a body. I get it. Like I understand it now, not as a concept. And that's available for everybody.
Wow, everything that you're saying is like music to my ears. Just beautiful stuff. But I identify with you quite a bit in that I too grew up in a blue collar family in the east side of Cleveland, in a totally non-religious household. And I had no religious dogma rammed down my throat, so that when I did start to find these inspiring, spiritual, enlightening books and things like that, it allowed me to blossom in my own way and accept it. But you did say something much earlier that I think everybody in the world can relate to. At some point in our life, in our body, we say something's missing. There's got to be more than this. And if you can listen to that little voice and do what Lisa has done, what I have done, and so many other people, is seek out that information or a podcast like this or a book or an audio that will help you to find that, as you said, Lisa, love is the answer.
Yeah, that's to me, that is the beginning. It's just that recognition. It usually brings the mind to a stop where something's not right. And A Course in Miracles says there must be a better way. So we start there. We start from this place, and I had heard stories of awakening and healing, and I was looking everywhere. I mean, I gave away most of my books. I'm a total reader. I love books. I love reading, and I've read every book on healing. Um, and I was following the formulas that I was reading in the books, and some of them were working for me, but it really came to the place where I had to start listening. Like we all have access to intelligence. That's what we are. It's our true nature. And at a certain point, I really had to go, okay, what is this? What is sickness? What is happening? It's like that inner investigation, the self-inquiry of Advaita Vedanta is the non-dual path. Who am I? What am I? And that having these quiet moments of really investigating what are emotions? What's anger? What's what's memory? What's how does the mind work? So a lot of my journey was really just investigating. I was in a lot of physical pain for a long time and couldn't function easily also for a long time. And I start to investigate the word pain. I'd start to really say, what if I took away the label and I just went with the sensation of whatever the thing is that I'm experiencing, and I don't know the word pain. Pain we learned that word. It's a label. And if you go with the absolute raw sensation, it lessens it. It's not a big deal anymore. It's like, oh, tingling. I feel tingling. And because what we are is pure awareness. So when you start to see that the mind is telling a story about something and you're carrying a label about things and you've locked yourself into it and you're devoted to this story of sickness and the labels, I have blank. We label it. I have chronic blank. I have cancer. I am this. I am that. I am. So you start to see the mind activity and you're not judging it. You're not judging the mind activity, but you're staying as the awareness of the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations, and the emotions. And so you create this space between the thought, feeling, sensation, memory, because we are the awareness. And so more and more, I could really experience the freedom and the joy and the peace and the happiness of this infinite being I am. And I stopped touching the body in the sense of like that healing, like I gotta change the body. I didn't have to change anything anymore. I was like, oh, I'm perfect.
Well, I'm really curious. So, if a person is in pain, and so in your instance, you decided to just let go of that pain and just focus on the feeling of whatever the issue was in your body. But it seems to me most people, when they're in pain from whatever the problem is, it's based in fear. Oh my God, I'm in pain. I'm gonna die. This is mean. How does somebody get around that fear that is the driving force to makes you be even more focused on that pain?
Yeah. Yeah, the first experience that I had when the pain and the physical symptoms were just excruciating. Like I really just felt like I just want to die. I wanted to just not wake up in the bed in the morning. And I used to just shut my eyes, like, okay. And we can use the lesson from A Course in Miracles, I rest in God. And sometimes I would lay on the floor, like in the living room. I just, oh, okay. Like I'm just resting. I'm resting from thinking about being sick. I'm resting from Googling all what I have and how to fix it and how to change it. Ah, I rest in God. So I started to just have this. The first time I did it, I was at the dinner table with my husband Bill, and my eyes were just burning. I mean, mucus and bloodshot and irritated, and I mean, couldn't see. It was so blurry. And Bill said, "Why? I'm struggling." I was like, "Oh my God, my eyes hurt. Oh my God." And he goes, "What? Shut them. Shut your eyes. I don't need your eyes open for dinner." And I shut my eyes, and it was this immediate shift and focus of everything that was in the space now. Like I could feel that the fork was cold, like it had a temperature, it was heavy. We don't notice these little big things when we're so focused on I don't feel good, I have pain. I notice the air, like right in this moment, like for everyone, if you just were to shut your eyes right now and have an awareness of everything in the space, the sounds, the air against the skin, how the body is sitting on the chair, the weight of the body on the chair, where does the chair start and end, the feet on the floor. So it's a body-mind approach, as I, say in my description and introduction. First, there's a shift out of the thinking mind into presence, sights, sounds. Like I wasn't tasting the food while my eyes were open and I was struggling in the mind how much pain I'm in. When I shut the eyes, first up, there was no pain anymore. I was just like resting. I was just like, oh. And then, I'd open my eyes briefly to sort of see where the fork is piercing the food. And then I'd shut my eyes again and I would taste it. I would feel it. I would feel the food. And I was just like, oh, the pain disappeared. But then it would come back again because the mind kicks in again. So I spent a long time practicing with resting in God, resting in presence, just resting from attack against myself, resting in peace, resting in the moment, just like resting. And that was really the practice. And so that would be my suggestion is that people start with short moments of resting in God, short moments of resting in presence, short moments resting from attack against yourself, and experience it for yourself.
One of my favorite lines from A Course in Miracles is, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And even in my moments when I'm not necessarily feeling good, or if I'm even in a bad place mentally, I say that to myself. And it almost always helps me out. But, I would like to go back one more time to your first encounter and anybody's first encounter with A Course in Miracles, because it is like nothing anybody's ever read before. You said you had a hard time with it too, first accepting it. I know I've been blessed to have Gary Renard on my show 3 times. I've got to hang out with him and his wife Cindy at workshops. And I remember even talking to Gary, he said, yeah, the first time I opened up and started reading, this is Gary saying this, I started reading and I go, what the hell is this? And plus a lot of it's written in iambic pentameter like Shakespeare. So it does take a little while to allow your body and your mind to absorb it. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you because I didn't have a religious background. I didn't have a lot of baggage. So when I found A Course in Miracles in 1992, I felt very drawn to the message and the whole idea of miracles. But then I was like, Holy Spirit. Like there was resistance, but as I said, I had an openness and an open mind enough to just say, I don't know, maybe there is something here for me. And I now have deep, deep love for Jesus. I am Jesus lover, and I know the difference now between Jesus, the man 2000 years ago who had an awakening and was expressing it, and it was hugely misunderstood, and Jesus the Christ, which is our true nature. So it's like we're kind of have to make the distinction between Jesus, who recognized himself as the man, as the Son of Man, like Jesus. And then I really started looking into like the metaphysics of Bible stories. I bought my first Bible when I was like 32 years old. And I started looking at different metaphysical writers and the metaphysics of these stories and the things that Jesus said. So Jesus never said, I, Jesus, am the way, the truth, and the life. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So Jesus had this awakening where he became I. He became the I. I and the Father are one. Not I, Jesus, and the Father. I and the Father are one. And the Father and me, and I and the Father. So he started shifting out of his body identity, the person, the character, the image, into I am. And nobody understood what he was saying. Nobody understands what anybody's saying now, even. Like it's just this message that's been so misunderstood. And so, and then I started using Holy Spirit too. Like I remember when I first started looking into A Course in Miracles, it was in New York for 15 years or something. So I have that A type personality and that kind of mind, like just want to analyze things and kind of work it hard and get it done. And I remember thinking, well, why do we need a Holy Spirit? Jesus didn't need a Holy Spirit. Jesus didn't need a middleman. Jesus had an awakening and knew I and the Father were one. So for the longest time, I didn't want to use Holy Spirit. And now I know, it's just a word. It's another word that you can be changed for consciousness, awareness, any word that works for someone that's showing you your infinite nature, then that's where like I began to kind of re-language the wording, I guess. Because if you look at, I mean, I love A Course in Miracles. Like I love all versions. I mean, look at my, this is a Circle of Atonement version, but I have here's my, right in front of me. Here's my, I actually think this was my very, very, very first one from 1992. This was the combined edition from, I think, that publisher. Um, and everyone who starts doing A Course in Miracles does it as the body self. Everyone. And everyone does it believing a God outside of us. So the language of A Course in Miracles is beautiful in that it meets us where we think we are as a separate self, and it therefore uses language of separation, of asking a Holy Spirit, of it's like there's a God and there's me. But that's only temporary. That's a temporary practice until you know that God's not out there answering your prayers or healing you. You are what God is. And so it's for a moment, though, there's like this, I need help, and there's Holy Spirit who can help me and guide me. And so we kind of do that for a while, and until there's oneness. There's a recognition. I am Holy Spirit. I am what God is. I am. And it's not the ego that's saying it. It's I. It's not Lisa. who says I am what God is. It's consciousness, it's awareness, it's the self. So interesting times now also because I have a lot of Zoom calls with small groups and a lot of Course in Miracles students and great devotion and commitment. I mean, the most beautiful people showing up to these groups. And the number one thing I hear is people believing that while they're in a body, they're not awake. There's like this misunderstood idea that while you're in a body, you're still an ego and you're not awake while you're still in the worldly experience, and that somehow your practicing will disappear the world. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. That the self is recognized here and now, and you're not a body. I love that. I love that lesson too. I'm not a body. I am free. I, I'm not a body. We're not talking about Lisa or Carl. I'm not a body. And that yet now the body is just functions. It's not a problem for me anymore. It's not a problem for you anymore, I'm sure. It's just like, oh, okay, well, I'm not this thing.
I think one beautiful teaching I learned from a course is that the body is neutral, and so on those times when I'm not feeling well or I'm a little bit off, I realize, oh, the body's only responding what my mind is directing it to do. And I can remember just a couple of weeks ago, I was felt like I was getting something, like I was gonna get a cold, and I went to bed that night. I kept repeating this: I direct you, the body, you are neutral. You do what I direct you to. I direct you to be perfectly healthy and in perfect well-being. And I kept repeating this until I fell asleep. I woke up feeling great the next morning.
Yeah, because that's connection to intelligence and to source. And one of the things that I have found interesting over the years is that, how do I say this? Like, I just love what you just said because it actually includes the specifics of how one is to eat, how one is to move the body, how one is to show up, what one is to do when you're directing. Like, I had someone on a call the other day, and she was saying, I really want to lose weight. I know that's an ego goal. I just feel like it's what I want. And I was like, yeah, no, there's no wrong goals here. That's a great goal. But I said we have to start from the truth. So the truth is that you're whole and perfect, and we start from here claiming the truth. We claim, like I asked her, what would be something that's true right now without losing weight, without the body changing? She said, I am health. I said, okay, good, great. We'll go with that one. I am health. If you were to keep that thought in mind, you'll eat differently. You won't be like, I need to lose weight. Like that thought is powerless. There's like when we think I'm sick, I'm overweight, I'm old, I'm this, I'm that, I'm no good, I'm stuck. There's no power in these thoughts. But if we are to start affirming the truth, I am life. I am aliveness. I am playfulness. I am spontaneity. I am love. I am whole. I am complete. We're connected to the intelligence, and the intelligence is like, I'd like to take a yoga class. I just really wanted a treadmill. I really don't like going to the gym, and I, live here in Maine, and it's cold, and who wants to go to a gym? And I don't. Some people might, but I got a treadmill, and oh man, I'm so happy with it. Just like getting on it in the morning, I give myself a goal, 2 miles a day, under 30 minutes. I got my music on, and it's like listening. And then with the food, same thing. Like I just connected to I am without trying to heal anymore, shifting over to I am healed. I am whole. I am life itself. I started eating gluten again and I started eating more things again. And then I noticed that I liked eating whole foods and I didn't really like eating processed that much. I didn't have to read about that on Google. I was really feeling how food works on me when I eat it. Oh, when I eat this, that makes me tired. When I eat this, yeah, I feel good. So that's where this is kind of a cool thing because it can be for money too. Like when you start really connecting with truth, and it's like, what would be fun? Like you would doing a podcast, like however that started for you, I can tell you're good at it, and it's your passion.
Mm.
And that's the thing is where we're stepping in and we're listening and we're not blocking life from flowing through us. And grateful for you, Carl, that you're so just like, yeah, gonna have a podcast.
You are so sweet. Thank you for that. That is beautiful. Just as a reminder to our viewers and listeners, we're talking to the amazing Lisa Natoli, a beautiful spiritual teacher and transformational teacher. There's something about you too. You also describe yourself as a spiritual teacher in the Hindu tradition of Advaita Vedanta. I'll admit I don't know much about it, but it states that the Vedanta states that the individual experiencing self is ultimately pure awareness, mistakenly identified with body and the senses, and not any different from the highest self or reality. Now, seems to me that's in perfect alignment with the non dualistic teachings of A Course in Miracles. How did you come to this?
Yeah, my husband Bill Free, he had been interested in Advaita Vedanta non-dual teachings since before I met him, probably 2010, and he started following Rupert Spira. And in the beginning, I wanted nothing to do with it. I mean, I was just like so 100% on board with the Course in Miracles. I was like, I don't need any other teachings. I'm going to get it this way eventually with the Course. But when I really reached that place when I tried everything. I did a Course in Miracle workbook lessons probably 18 years. I mean, from start to finish. And every year I think I'm a little bit happier, I guess, but I'm still not there yet. And then I would think, who's the I that's saying I would think, right? Like I didn't know about non-dual teachings and the I identity and the bodily identity. But I would think I just wasn't committed enough. I was making exceptions. I wasn't forgiving everyone. So I would recommit to another year and I was going to love everyone. I was going to forgive everyone and everything. Well, who's the I that's having these thoughts? It's the body identity that's just going to work harder. It's going to commit more. It's going to be like, I'm going to, you know, got my hands in my fist mode and I'm going to make this happen. It doesn't work like that, as we know. Like it really came from this place where it is what A Course in Miracles says is that enlightenment is not a change at all. It is but a recognition of what is here always. Our self is always here shining. It's never elsewhere. It's never gone away. I've always been here. I've been here. If I go back through memory, I was always there through the body being, little baby Lisa and then growing and 4 years, 5 years, 6 years old, college. I was always there. Who's the I? So the non-dual teachings point more to that. It's more of self-inquiry and investigation into this I. And A Course in Miracles definitely uses the language of bodily identity. It uses that term. I still didn't understand what it was saying at the time. I was just like, I don't understand what it means to be a bodily identity. I am a body. I don't get it. Like, so it was a lot of confusion for a while. And now I know I'm not a body. There's not, because I remember in the early days I would teach and people would say, well, yeah, but you are one. Look, what's that? But it's like, okay, but it's not what I am. It's not what you are. I understand now. I understand now that Jesus said it himself to be in the world and not of it. And so Jesus said in A Course in Miracles that our bodily identity, the roots are deep. So that's true. Like we are so used to being a body and we're so used to being perceiving ourselves as separate that it can take years and months and a long time for that to be undone.
I think even A Course in Miracles states that it is not the only path to enlightenment, that there are multiple other teachings out there, like the Hindu one, I can't pronounce it, Advaita. Say it for me.
Yeah, Advaita Vedanta.
Right, exactly. But there are multiple. It's just the right one will come to you in the right place at the right time. And in our case, the ACIM is a path for us.
And I have to say that is true for sure. Every path leads back to self. And after 2018, I kind of put the Course in Miracles aside. I said, you know what? I just, for now, done with it. And now I read it again every day. I mean, I love it. It's the most beautiful teaching, and the truth is in there. The part that was difficult for me those years was getting all tangled up in thinking there's a Holy Spirit and a Jesus and a God, and wasn't through the language of the course investigating the I that was on the spiritual path. I just kept thinking I got to work harder. I'm gonna wake up. It's coming. And I know it. I just got to be, more generous and more kind and more and and it was the non-dual teachings that started to have me question who is this I that thinks it needs to do more forgiveness work. The self doesn't need more forgiveness work. The self needs only be recognized. And it comes in the silence, it comes in be still. So when we are still an instant, we do go home. We come home to the truth of what we are, and it's experienced because it's not out there, it's not later. No one has to be more good. No one has to heal the body or change the body or lose weight. You're whole and perfect right now. And so that all is very frustrating for people. It was frustrating for me when I was experiencing the body as myself. But I started just having these short moments just to close the eyes. Okay, let me just rest. Let me rest here. And because the self isn't somewhere else, it is here. You start to feel peace. You feel calm. That's our true nature. People say, "Oh, that's I just felt calm for a minute." No, that's the whole thing.
Mm,
That's the self.
yeah.
When you have these moments where there's no past and no future and no analyzing and no judgment of yourself, and you're just resting in open spaciousness, it's like, ah. So I think that now because of what I've been through and I know now, I think the realization is actually the easy part. Like we've all had moments of peace and joy and freedom and have glimpses. We all have little glimpses. I think the part that takes a bit longer is being established in it. So it's just being established as our identity as I, as the eternal, infinite intelligence, love, and really being established in that, where the body is no longer your identity. It's like the story falls. I don't have this. I can pull up stories till the cows come home. I still have memory of them all. They're not me. They don't have a charge anymore. They don't, I can tell them on an interview, but I know I'm telling a story. So that's the difference, where I could talk about how I was alcoholic and how I stopped drinking, 24 years ago, and how I was a smoker and how I was sick and how I was this and how I was that. But I know the I that's talking right now, that's just like it's like someone who watched a movie and I'm telling about it right now. There's no attachment to it anymore.
Now, I'm also interested. You implement the teachings of a couple teachers that I am unfamiliar with, Gene Klein and Krishnan Menon. Can you tell us who these two are and why you like what they teach?
Yeah, so John Klein is the teacher of Francis Lucille and Rupert Spira. And Jean Klein is a French guy. I think he passed. I think he passed in the 90s. Went to India for 3 years. And Krishna Menon was his teacher, his inspiration. And I would say Jean Klein is my number one teacher now. Like, I've read everything he's done. And the reason I love him is because he, after 3 years in India, had a realization of self, went back to Europe to try to teach it, and no one understood a word he was saying. So what he started to do was, because he wanted to reach people, he didn't just want to talk over their heads. He was like, okay, I need a different approach here. And he started using a mind-body approach where first you investigate what you're not a body. Investigate that. Don't just say it as a concept. Investigate what is the body? What are emotions? What are the thoughts? What are the stories? What are the habits? What are the patterns? Investigate what I'm not so that what I am comes to the forefront. And it's the same teaching as Atmananda Krishna Menon, who was, both of them were householders. Both of them had families. They had jobs. They didn't go live in a cave. And I resonate to that. I resonate to not making anything special, not having to like go away from your life. And so when I started looking at Jean Klein, it was just like so practical. It was so like, okay, this I can understand. And, it's really cool because his teachings were from like I think he started teaching in 1952. Um, a lot of his teachings, public teachings in the 70s, 80s, 88, and they're only now being published. So all of a sudden, there's somehow this Jean Klein movement, which I'm thrilled about. I think he has 10 books online, but they're publishing now. They're finding more and more of his talks. And I'm grateful, because the world is just becoming more and more conflict with people with the cell phones, with politics, with guns, with chronic diseases and cancer and suicide. And I mean, the world is different than I grew up in. It's a different place now. And for me, to know that there are teachers in the world and voices that point to the awakening, that nobody has to stay in the conflict and the chaos. It's just come on home, take this journey of healing and awakening, and know the peace that's here, so that when anything happens, my life goes on. I just the IRS, I have a payment plan with them, and then it just disappeared, and I had to call them. It was 3 hours on the phone with them, and it was, have to get this paperwork and that paperwork and this and that. I still have to do these things. I still have bills to pay. I still have a mortgage every month. I still have, things that require attention. But there's no conflict in any of it anymore. It's pure presence, doing, making the next call, doing the next thing, do whatever it is. It's just, it's easy. So that's what's available. I still read the news. I read the New York Times, and I read, I see all the news that comes in, and it's just not triggered anymore. There's no, the peace is undisturbed. It's just like, and if there's anything I need to do in the situation, I'm doing it. We're just responding to it.
Wow, Eckhart Tolle would like you. You're in the moment, in the now, or the holy instant as we know it. One of the last things I would like to talk to you about. I happen to be the facilitator of a very large Power of Eight healing group on Facebook that was established on Lynn McTaggart's book, The Power of Eight, where eight or more people come together virtually or live to focus on healing. And I've been doing this since 2021, and we have members from around the world. So I'm very, very interested in healing, and that is one of the key things you do. What is the best method for someone right now to heal themselves, no matter what their issue, physical, mental, or emotional? I think you kind of touched on that, but maybe you have a little bit more info on that.
Yeah, it's such a good question because this has just been my life work, and I have different programs. I've created the Healing Cure, which is this 8-week program. But that question is such a good one because I'm like, okay, I want like the snappy response.
Right.
And so my goal in 2025 is to publish a book, to put it in a book, and that people can just go, okay, how can I get started? And like, what I would say for someone in pain, someone with physical something, is to first, like I said earlier, to rest. Just give yourself these short moments when you're in a bed. Like I just have a friend who just reached out to me, and she's just got diagnosed with some spots on her brain, and she has to go through 10 days of chemotherapy, and she's very afraid, and she doesn't have a religious background and no Course in Miracles. And I just said to her, you know, just I invite you to, just when you're in the bed, just really give yourself short moments to be present in the bed and allow your awareness to be in the openness, like to be the openness, to just rest for a moment and remember the light that you are. Just to remember that you are pure light, and that you're not trying to heal anything. I send you so much love, and it's to me that's what it is about. Is there's that lesson from A Course in Miracles 107, I think. Truth corrects all errors in my mind. So to me, the thing that I do as a teacher is talk about this light, that truth is a light, and that we don't heal anything. The body heals, the mind heals when truth has come. So when I'm remembering I am light, I am aliveness, I am eternal, I am infinite being, I invite anyone to do it. Just when you have a quiet moment, when you're sitting by yourself, just take a moment and say, "Oh, God is with me." Check in and see if you were experiencing pain when you were, I am life. I am aliveness. Pain can't exist in light. It disappears. Darkness disappears in light. Sickness disappears in light. Suffering disappears in light. It all disappears. The ego disappears in light. This is not a concept. And so when we're resting in this openness that's bodiless, genderless, ageless, timeless, just totally like no past, no future, no thinking about how to heal, no judging yourself for the body. Ah, just this total resting in I am, rest in God. See how that feels. That would be my invitation to people, is to see for yourself how those moments, and it's going to keep drawing you back. This light is like, ooh, she's in it. You're in it. And then from there, like I have a lot of stuff about, seeing your patterns, your emotions, your how sickness is serving you. For many people, sickness serves a function. They don't have to show up in life, get you government money, get you parking spaces. You don't have to go to the parties you don't want to go to. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to. So I had to look at that stuff. Like, what benefit has sickness been for me? If I created it, why would I have created it? Oh, I created it because I didn't want to get attacked online for using my voice. Oh, well, I didn't have a voice. I couldn't talk. Nobody could criticize me for all those years. I didn't put myself out there. I didn't teach anything. I didn't say anything. I was totally just like, oh, I'm sick. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm open to being criticized. I'm open to, so now I don't need sickness anymore. My voice works just fine now. So that's where, it goes a little deeper in the work I do with people of just seeing, do I need it anymore? Do I need this story? Do I need this pain?
Oh my gosh, Lisa Natoli, you are a true example of walking the walk that you talk in the right-mindedness of your true higher self. And your light shines beyond this little computer screen I have here and the TV screen that people watch us on. Just beautiful. I'm so blessed to have you on the show. What's the best way for people to find you, to connect with you? What's your website?
Yeah, my website's lisanatoli.com, and I have just different classes up there. My husband Bill and I are actually doing our very first live course. It's a 3-month course, 12 weeks. That starts on January 9th. So anyone that wants to work, live with me and Bill and be just twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll be doing small Zoom group. But then I have, my courses and just the other different things I do. But yeah, my website is the best way to find me.
Yeah, and I saw on your website you really do have a bunch of beautiful workshops and teachings on there. So, Lisa, just awesome. Thank you. It was a
Uh,
pleasure having you on. You. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carl. I love that Facebook group idea too. I love Lynn McTaggart. I love the power of 8. I mean, that is such great work.
And there's no order of difficulty in miracles
There's
of,
no order of difficulty in miracles.
of healing too. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you an invite. You can join us. So, all
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, thank you. I'll definitely be in there.
right. Thank you again, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Carl.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with host Carl Gruber, a certified law of attraction life coach. We welcome you to tune in to each and every episode of World Awakenings as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how much they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment daily life. Much love and light to you, my friend, and thank you for tuning into World Awakenings.